You brought him back in January of 96, and there's rumor and innuendo out there that originally it was supposed to be Goldust and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 12, and you had to pivot. So if that wasn't the original plan, what was the original plan for Piper before we got to Goldust?
Well, the original plan, what time is it?
It's Miller
time. The
original
plan was Goldust and Razor Ramon. The pivot was Roddy Piper. Razor didn't want to work with Goldust.
Right.
He was uncomfortable working with Goldust and had major issues doing anything with Goldust. So we thought, okay, what else can we do? Now, in the meantime, there was this other celebrity, we'll call him a celebrity, out there in the world who was red hot in many, many ways.
Marilyn Manson?
No. We did talk to Marilyn Manson, though, at one point. No. Keep coming. Come on.
I don't know.
He's got initials.
Everybody does.
Yeah. But he went by his initials.
I don't know.
It's a favorite fruit of Florida.
Oh, O.J. Simpson. Okay.
O.J. Simpson had been cleared on all charges and found not guilty in the murder of his ex-wife. And there was a sentiment in the country that he needed to get what was coming to him. He needed some comeuppance.
Are you about to tell me that the original plan was O.J. Simpson to have a segment where Piper gave him the what for at WrestleMania and there was a pivot?
No.
Okay.
The original plan was for O.J. Simpson to have a match at WrestleMania.
Oh, my.
Against the Hot Rod.
This is real.
This is real. And I remember calling Roddy and pitching Roddy the idea, which he was for. We had preliminary talks with O.J. Simpson's people who, at that point, they were looking for anything that had a paycheck attached to it. We floated the idea out there. We did talk to O.J.'s people. I talked to Piper about it. Piper was on board. We were bringing him back in to get involved in everything. And if you remember, and if you go back in the early time of Piper's reemergence, he does make comments about O.J. Simpson. And he makes comments about, right and wrong in America and what's going on, and that he's here to make things right in the WWF. The end game to that was going to be the one-off and have Piper beat the shit out of O.J. Simpson at WrestleMania in Anaheim, California.
Right.
Once that started getting out beyond the inner circle of O.J. Simpson's people and out in Hollywood, the backlash was deafening. People were, if you do this, you'll never have another sponsor. Just extremely negative. So we punted and said, thank you, but no thank you, O.J. We're not interested. They thought, and we thought that also in the end game, O.J. getting the shit kicked out of him would satisfy some people.
Nope.
And as those words come out of my mouth, you realize how ridiculous that is today. But you always have to try something on.
I can't.
Even if it sounds ridiculous, but it's like, whoa, goddamn, Piper's going to beat the shit out of him in the fourth match on the card. Everyone will be happy then. And then you sit back and you put yourself in the Goldman's position and you put yourself in Nicole Brown Simpson's family's position of saying, fuck that. Short of being dead or in prison, nothing's going to satisfy anybody.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because right now I really want to ask you to be Vince McMahon and play through that, but part of me is like, let's just move on.
Yeah, it was distasteful then. It's distasteful now. But we did a lot of distasteful things sometimes. And,
we do on this show, but
weekly.
Damn it, there are lines. That's a line. We're not doing that one.
God damn, pal.
Don't tease me.
Pronouns.
When, you know what? Fuck it. Sing the song.
Spend my days working hard on the go, but the hands on the clock keep spinning too slow. I can't wait to be alone with my baby tonight.
Tell you what, that'll fix your mood right there.
Goddamn right it would. Man, it makes me tingly all over every time those melodic melodies come out my mouth.
I'm gonna move along. When does Razor start to raise a stink about working with Goldust? February?
January, February, yeah. Right in that area. We went to Bangor, Maine to actually shoot the angle at a house show. And Razor just didn't want to do it. He was uncomfortable doing it. And did it half-assed. So the thought was, you know what? His heart's not in it. He doesn't want to do it. He's not going to do it well. So let's move on. Let's find someone that does want to do it. Because Goldust was red hot at the time.
Bangor, Maine is January 13th, 1996. On that show, we had Goldust working Henry O. Godwin, and we had Razor Ramon working Hunter Hurst Helmsley. So there you go. There's your frame of reference for when it happened. So kind of talk us through how the pitch goes down for Roddy. Hey, pal, we don't have OJ. No, by the way, what did Piper think of OJ? I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, the idea of working a match. Let me be clear. I want to frame that right.
Well, the idea was he wanted to beat the shit out of him.
Well, yeah,
that's
of course.
A shoot. I mean, that's a shoot. Roddy wanted to beat the shit out of him. So the pitch, and by the way, the pitch always was, OJ, you're going to get the shit beat out of you. But you'll make a lot of money off of it. And Piper's pitch, not pit, was, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. So he was fine with that. He was fine with that part. But it never, it didn't get past the conversation stages, and we moved on. After Razor didn't want to do the match with Goldust, and we had it laid out to go all the way through WrestleMania 12, said, okay, well, we'll find somebody that does. But we were looking for something that would be a little bit different rather than just a straight match. So I said that with a straight face, a straight match, with Goldust.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, So, and by the way, that wasn't a rip. We started kicking around some different ideas about what we could do with them and how that match could be different. They, being Goldust, was associated with Hollywood and the gold and the Oscar statue and all that nonsense. And Piper was, Mr. Hollywood, having done movies and being a Hollywood star, so we could position him that. And I think it was Vince's idea to, what if we did, a backlot brawl? What if we went to a backlot in Hollywood and just had a fight with all the props and all the accoutrements that you're afforded on a Hollywood lot? And then from there, the immediate kickback was this, well, shit, then they don't have a match in front of the people. He's, no, goddamn, pal. They start on the back lot, and then they get to the arena. Finish the match in the arena. So as we start talking about all this shit, that, okay, we do this backlot brawl, we shoot it in Hollywood, and then the match ends up in the ring in Anaheim, and we start just throwing out, which is always dangerous when Vince is involved, you start throwing out goofy ideas.
Right.
So what if Goldust takes off in his gold Cadillac, and Piper follows him. And we do like the OJ chase, because that was still fresh in everyone's mind. The white Bronco going down the freeway there in California, in L.A. And it was pretty much a similar route. And we start laughing. Oh my God, what if we got the rights, or we got that footage? We just used that footage of the white Bronco. We put Piper in a white Bronco, and Roddy comes down and follows Goldust all the way to the arena.
Right.
So that was the framework of the whole deal. And we shot the Backlot Brawl a week in advance, a week ahead of WrestleMania. We got Mitch Ackerman, for any of you Hollywood types out there. Mitch Ackerman is a producer with Walt Disney, done a lot of things, but Mitch was always backstage, and he was a friend that would enable us to do shit. And Larry Burton, which Jerry Lawler will like. But we set up a Backlot Brawl. We set up a studio in Hollywood to have this fight. And we brought in different Hollywood people to kind of be around, and they would be our audience of the Backlot Brawl. So if you remember, I think we started inside, and then we got out to the driveway in between with the fire hose, and Goldust had his Cadillac. But we didn't know what the weather was going to be, so we had this is how crazy shit was. We had the fire hose. You know why the fire hose was there?
Because you had to wet everything down in case it was raining that day at WrestleMania, and it would look consistent.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And we had people. You could actually see me in a couple of shots up on top of the roof when they pan across and see people up there watching. But it was absolutely crazy, because if you know Roddy's whole thing, especially with Hollywood folks, when he did his wrestling stuff, that was real. And you don't fuck with his wrestling. You don't make fun of him. You don't call him a fake. You don't say what he does is a work or anything else. So Roddy and Goldust are beating the living shit out of each other.
For real.
For real. They're not stuntmen. It wasn't a gimmick car. Sure as hell wasn't a gimmick fire hose.
He really hit him. He really jumped on the hood.
He really hit him and really jumped on the hood. He really peeled out of the parking lot and hit two Lexus on the way out that were some producers of a Fuller House, or I don't know. It was a sitcom that was taping in a studio across the way. And when Goldust came out around the corner, his car swung out and hit two Lexuses. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of explaining to do.
Any heat on Dustin for that?
There was a lot of heat on us for that. That's for damn sure. Yeah, the studio was not happy with us at all.
I meant Vince.
I'm sorry, what, from Vince to Goldust?
Yeah.
No, man, it made it look real. He loved it.
Okay.
So they do it, and in the midst of this battle, Piper broke his wrist. It was a good break too, but he kept going. So you see at the end of the fight where Roddy's kind of holding, I think it was his right wrist, and he had a broken wrist, probably a broken arm too, but the wrist was the really bad break. And they get in the cars and they take off. Well, that night we had to go. Me, Vince, and Roddy spent a couple hours in the ER there in L.A. in Hollywood, getting Roddy X-rays and getting the cast put on his wrist and all that good shit. But then we had to go, a week later and have the end of the match in Anaheim. So as we get to Anaheim, we've got the white Bronco that Roddy took off on and the gold Cadillac that Goldust had. So we have there in Anaheim, there's a ramp in the back that comes down. There's a guard shack there. And the idea was Goldust obviously enters first and Roddy comes behind. Well, Roddy had in his head that he wanted to wreck the Cadillac. He wanted to ram the Cadillac. And Vince was like, no fucking way. No, we're not going to do that. You're not a stunt guy. I don't want you getting hurt any worse than you already are. and we're not doing that. So Roddy and Goldust decide amongst themselves that when Goldust gets, and we're doing this live, by the way, with not stuntman, with two wrestlers.
You're saying live, you mean live to tape?
No. I'm saying live.
Okay.
Live.
Okay.
So they're coming down, and we've got everything clear. And Roddy and Goldust decide amongst themselves that, okay, we're not going to wreck the car. But Roddy told Goldust when he gets out to leave his car door open. And Roddy wanted to come behind it and take the door off, ram into the door.
Yeah.
Well, Goldust tries to leave the door open, but it still went halfway shut, and Roddy didn't get the shot that he wanted. But the other thing you'll notice is because when we left the backlot brawl, where Roddy broke his hand and his wrist, and then they get to the arena, Roddy can't go out and work with his wrist the way it is. He's got to tape it up. So you see Roddy grab tape on the way in and start taping up his wrist.
Right.
To go to the ring and get all that done, and they had their stuff, and that's where we stripped Goldust down, and he was wearing the women's lingerie. But getting to that point, oh my God, it was just a nightmare. When you think back and you go back from Razor and Goldust, that was going to be a big blow off there, to Roddy and Goldust do something special, the backlot brawl, and all the bullshit that went into it, having to have, and one of the deals that was made on the backlot brawl was that we had to put Jeff Connolly, the guy from Grease, Hickey from Kanicki, famous actor. He was also in Taxi. That he had to have a cameo in the backlot brawl. So it was basically Roddy saying, "Hey, how you doing there, buddy? Good to see ya." And that was his cameo in the backlot brawl. A little bit of trivia.
Chat me up about the build for the Goldust thing, because you guys did some kind of interesting stuff with him at the time. You had him asking to blow on Piper's bagpipe, and you had him on the a makeshift Piper's Pit, and he talked about how he had an eruption watching this. You know, lots of double entendre, lots of sexual innuendo, since everybody says we use that word inappropriately here on the show. Was Piper for all of this? He got it. Why was he game for it when maybe Razor wasn't?
Roddy liked money.